Hello, and welcome to another episode of BUNK. I am Miss M, and with me today I have the beautiful Skadi and Jess. We are so excited to bring another episode of Skadi's
Oh, not
beautiful
about me
journey
again. Hi.
into.
You're the star.
No, not me, guys, please.
So, we had a beautiful episode.
I think so too.
This last episode, we got to talk about your journey into becoming an addict.
Yep.
You know what? How beautiful to just watch, to be able to listen to the story of you becoming who you are today. Can you even imagine being the person you were 1 year ago?
Oh, God, no. I mean, it's just wow, like how much growth, like I just said this to my husband a little while ago. I was like, I mean, I guess it was like a couple days ago, and I said it was so different. Like it was a big deal to be a month sober. It was a big deal for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 10 months, 11 months. And then it was a huge deal for a year, then a huge deal for 18 months. I'm like, now I feel like it should be a big deal for 2 years, but everything is just so different, yet still so the same in so many ways that I just have to be at peace with what's in front of me. At the year mark, I was like, I don't know. I'm just not ready yet. I'm not ready to drink because initially I wanted to be sober for just a year. I was like, hey, if I do a year without drinking, I know that like I'll be able to like put myself in my healing further and like challenge myself. And
Yeah.
I did that and I was like, I'm not ready. I'm just not. There's no part of me that's ready. And in my bones, I was like, you can't. And I was like, I know. So, and there wasn't really even a moment that I wanted to. And I just kept going. And then I felt like I really threw myself into everything I knew how, just everything right in front of me, like really trying to be present. And then the time got away from me. Now I'm at 2 years and I look back and it's like, oh, I really did keep myself busy because there was a lot of growth in the past year. That wouldn't have happened without like really focusing in on myself. Everything, the focus is different as time goes on, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
So, other than your spirituality, do you feel like your health has improved, like physically, since you quit
Oh,
drinking?
Jesus H. Um, that's something that I definitely have to talk about. I mean, like I said, recovery and like spirituality and, everything under that umbrella, it's not fucking pretty. And, with that comes a lot of things mind, body, soul. It's all one thing. And if one's out of whack, it's all out of whack. Um, when I got sober, I finally had the chance without like hyper focusing on like a baby that's coming or hyper focusing on kids or like, just all these things. It was really the first chance that I had to know that long term, I felt that I wasn't going to do this. And I felt that I had a safe space to be. And I think because of that, my mind, my body, and my soul finally reconnected all together again. And I got sick. I got extremely sick. I mean, and it wasn't withdrawals. I mean, I did have those. I talked to my husband about it. Really, it was more of like a dissociation thing type whatever for me because I don't know how I got through it. But he's like, I mean, you did a lot of sleeping. Um, like the first few days, and I remember I quit because like I just thought, oh well, I'll be hungover like the first day because I always was anyway. Um,
Yeah.
and but then it turned into a thing where like I never stopped feeling hungover ever, and I would wake up like with a headache and um, just all this stuff and my mind started realizing it was safe to give me more information to process. And the information that I had to process was extremely like um mentally it quite literally it almost dude it almost broke me. Like I could see myself, I knew what it looked like to be broken over this. And like it wasn't just one thing, it was many things. it was like, you know, my addiction, like spirituality got me sucked into addiction because I couldn't handle the truth that was in front of me. It was like so awful. And then when I got sober, it's like, well, what are you going to do now? And it's like, holy shit, it's worse than I thought. And I think because of the stress with that, again, mind, body, soul, my body got sick. And like, I think I was, I guess, a year sober, something like that, just around that time, a little more, I think. And I got sick and I started like getting tumors, like just random tumors. And there was one on my lower back that like it kind of felt like sciatica at first, but I know what sciatica feels like because I mean I've had 3 pregnancies and one was a multiple, and it was just got, oh fuck, dude, you couldn't pay me.
I can imagine.
And so I know what that felt like, but it felt like worse. Like I felt like my leg was gonna give out. Like just that numb, dull, like just pounding feeling where I'm like, what the fuck, man? So I went in completely gaslighted. I mean, I had to walk with a cane because I'm like, there was times where I would get out of bed and like the side of my foot was completely numb for like the first 3 hours of the day. And I'm like, what the fuck? And so there was a time where I fell down the stairs because I couldn't control like half of my foot. And I'm like, where the fuck is this coming from? So I finally just listened to my body, and there was a tumor. It turned out to be like the size of a baseball, and it was like in my lymph node. And come to find out now, I mean, it's back and it's like 20 times bigger. And no one's taking me seriously. But honestly, like my body has gone through some motherfucking trauma and some repressed trauma that finally came out. The mind will try to survive to a fault, but your body will never forget. And if your body is holding on to that trauma and you're finally in a safe space, like where you're sober and you can remember and you can process and like do whatever you need to do, like you may get sick, because that's what happened with me. I still have no fucking idea what's going on. I have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
I just know it's there, and I know I'm not going to keep drinking because what's that going to do for the whole thing? You know, who knew how long I was sick for? And I was masking it because I was drinking so much. So to answer your question, absolutely the fuck not. Like it got worse, but you know what? I would do it all over again. I would do it all over again. And I do it all over again every single day that I wake up because it's getting worse. I lost 80 pounds after getting sober. Not because not because I mean I was starting to intuitive eat when I got sober. I went 3 months without meat because I thought, oh, maybe I'm feeling sick because there's something in the meat. Then I started like trying to go without, you know, cheese and like the vegan stuff for like a month, like maybe a month and a half. And I'm like, I still feel like shit. You know, like what the fuck is going on? So to this day, I'm just like, I know I'm not going to drink because that's not going to help anything because my body quite literally can't handle it. But I also know mind, body, spirit, again, like these things are presenting in my mind that are making me ill because my body is purging. My body needs to purge this trauma because you've held on to it for so long, and that's what was making you so angry. So I'm allowing my body to do what it needs to do without a shame process, without a guilt process, because my body has also kept me alive, and I've put it through a hell of a lot. So how can I blame it? You know what I mean? I can't. I can't. I just have to have patience with it because it's had patience with me. God, like gee, so much patience.
Do you connect with any kind of support group? Like, do you have other alcoholics that you are interacting with, recovering alcoholics that you are connecting with, helping you through this journey with their own experience? Since alcoholism is such a unique thing, like only an alcoholic knows what it's like to be an alcoholic, and you just don't understand that. So did you try to find any kind of your people in regarding that situation?
That's a great question. No. No. I legitimately listen. I right, wrong, or indifferent, as my husband likes to say. Um, I I wanted to do it I needed to do it alone. And when I say alone, I'm like it feels so disrespectful to me because there was a lot of spirituality in this. I feel like I leaned on my family a lot. I learned a lot more about my family, my bloodline. Um my grandfather, I mean, I'm not going to give him any type of label except my pop, but he definitely, my grandma was the reason why he quit drinking. And, he's one hell of a man. And I always looked at him as like, well, if he can stop drinking for his old lady, then why the fuck can't I stop drinking for what matters to me? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and that was a lot of inspiration for me. And talking to, I mean, my grandma's my best friend. She always has been, she always will be. And so she really has never drank ever, except one time experimenting in high school that she'll never live down. But she just doesn't have the struggle.
That's
Yeah, it's
silly.
hilarious, dude. I'll have to have her tell the story sometime because she just like, it's so funny to get her going on it. Um, but my grandpa, I mean, I had so much respect for him, and we grew up knowing that that's, just what it was, because my grandma's very open. She tells us stories. That's how we keep it alive. And yeah, I knew that I had what I needed with me, and I'm extremely grateful and blessed and lucky for that. But I leaned on my family, like I had to. I leaned on my gram. I mean, my gram had a major stroke like a year ago from this past April, and it really challenged me to dig deeper into myself. So my journey for me personally, not saying that like, because if that works for you, please, whatever you got to do. Um, just for me and like my journey, I leaned into more of where I came from, because come to find out, there were so many things that not only did people know and were actively trying to hide, but did that for generations. And so that's just what we thought. And it wasn't, there's so many things that were waiting for me on the other side of this sobriety that said, okay, like you have, like, it's now, it's right now. And if you pick up this again, you know what's going to happen. And honestly, it's like, if I started to drink when my grandma had her stroke, she would have outlived me, because now she's home. Now she's walking around, she's taking her meds by herself. Don't tell her nothing. And she looks fabulous. So, it's really, looking now with, hindsight. I mean, I was okay with doing it, quote unquote, alone. But I leaned
Yeah.
into where I came from, because there was always something that I knew that I needed to put myself into with that, because that's just where I come from, and what I've always needed to do. But that was the time to do it. There was no other time that the universe was going to give me except right then, in those circumstances. And so I went inward, extremely inward, and leaned on my tribe a lot. I didn't hang out with friends at all. Jess was the first person to come over since I got sober. Um,
I remember we were hanging out for a
mhm.
while, and then all of a sudden I just like didn't hear from you, and I think that was when you were starting to go through
And
recovery.
also concurrently through my master's. Part of
That
part
too.
of me getting sober was me just applying myself. Like, I see myself somewhere, and you ain't gonna tell me nothing. Like, I just knew it. And so from start to finish,
Yeah.
I finished grad school in 13 months, because that's what I applied myself to, getting sober. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna get sober, I'm gonna learn about the brain, I'm gonna learn about why my brain is doing this. And I did exactly that. And that ate, and like, again, I'm so privileged, I'm so privileged to be able to do that. But that's why I think I was able to go inward, is because I opened my mind. I said, "Okay, I've seen everything that is so ugly to know, and it's quite literally fucking tearing me apart. So I need to see
Yeah.
me on the other side of this. Show me on the other side of this." And I just one track mind. That's all I did. And that was my process. Again, I think AA is wonderful for people that identify with that. If you do want to have some type of like group or circle. I mean, I just, there's times that it still comes up for me, but I just know that I have my resources where I need them, because I'm extremely lucky for them to be there. But I'm also very open-minded about it. I think my spirituality has been the reason why I haven't felt alone about my sobriety. And also, I mean, my husband doesn't drink, so that really helps. And like, when he does drink, it's like having a beer with a friend when I'm not present. And there's been times where I'm like, hey, you know that you can have a drink, right? Like, that's it. This is my problem with my chemistry and my pea-sized brain. Okay, this is my problem. It's not yours, and I will not make it your problem. You have my promise. And it's just like, no, I'm good. I don't need one. But again, me as an alcoholic, I'm like, why aren't you having a drink when you know that you can have one? You know what I mean? So it's like it's hard
Yeah.
for me to understand that some people just don't want to, because I want to all the time, and I still do. And that's going to be something that I always battle with. I'm very open with my children about it. I think, with me being able to talk to my husband about my struggles, being able to talk to my grandparents, being able to look inward and say, okay, what is there that's always been there, and what have you been running from? But I was prepared to do that. Some people have no fucking idea.
Yeah.
Some people are just like, I need to get sober. How do I do that? I just knew. And I know that's not helpful. And that's probably why I haven't talked about my recovery journey very much, is because I didn't, I didn't go to AA. I didn't go to rehab. I didn't even download an app on my phone until I was almost 6 months sober, and I knew it was coming up, and I just wanted to see it because I needed something to keep me going. And I just didn't, and I focused on anything but myself. And then once that worn out, then I focused on nothing but myself and where I come from. And I'm at peace. I know who I am. I know who I come from, where I come from, officially and proudly, and with all accountabilities involved. Also with that, me, like I knew that getting sober meant being accountable. That's just number one. And that's probably why I didn't want to do it, because it's not just about getting to addiction, it's what happens in addiction that you have to face. And some
Yeah.
people can't do that. And I'm not saying that to put it down, like, because I hardly could. I hardly could. And that's why people do reach out, because it's important to reach out when you feel that. I just had the resources so luckily close to me. But I know that that does work for a lot of people. It just wasn't something that interested me. I was interested in finally giving myself the space to just be myself and just fucking learn about myself again. And I've learned a lot. There's things that I remember to this day off air that I talk about, and I'm like, oh, you guys, I just remembered this one thing about my childhood like 20 years ago. Bitch, what? And it's now it's good things. Because for the past, or the first year and a half, it was gut wrenching. It was gut wrenching, the shit that I had to keep
Yeah.
Mm.
remembering. Um, and I know that it was repressed memories, because I would be doing absolutely nothing but minding my motherfucking business. And then all of a sudden it was like, boom. And I was there again, like in my mind. And all of a sudden it was like, holy shit. And then I started getting sick. And I started getting sick in the regions where I remember these certain things happening. Um, and it's just it's wild to me how many things that people don't realize about themselves, because the way that other people have made them feel about themselves. um and again, that's me taking accountability for my stuff. I made my choices. I made, all my choices in my addictions. I made all my choices with, to get in that addiction. um but I will say 10 times out of 10 times, all the time, therapy. I mean, I did go to therapy. I went to therapy.
Yeah.
I did the whole nine. I mean, but I was also in my master's for psychology. So I had that privilege where I just had all the information I needed at my
Yeah.
fingertips.
Yeah.
And thank goodness for that.
That's amazing.
Just education, and not even education, like educate yourself. Um, you know,
Yes.
Yeah.
if you
Amen.
have the
Yep.
privilege of doing that, and the capacity to do that, don't stop yourself. Like I believe in you because I've done it. But I also, when I say that, it's not like, oh, go spend all this money so you can get it, pieces of paper. No, we live in a time of information, and we live in a time of technology. Educate yourself, and that's exactly what I did. A lot of the things I learned about sobriety, most things I learned about sobriety, you can never learn in a fucking book. You can have someone talk at you till they're blue in the face and tell you, and you can even feel something about it for sure, but you won't know, you know? So it's hard that, sometimes I feel like, oh, do I belong in an AA group? But it's like, nah, because I'm 2 years sober. But maybe one day, if I feel like I want to, that's not set in stone. And that's kind of the freedom of it, of living outside of addiction. I can do whatever the fuck I want to do.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So I know you've said, I think, a couple times maybe that you feel like, I don't know how to word this. Never mind. Never mind.
Okay.
Good.
That's okay. If it might come back to you. Okay, Scotty. So, what would you want to tell people who believe that alcoholism is just like a choice or a weakness?
Sure. Okay, wow. I feel like I'm doing a dissertation. I usually write this shit and I don't have it in front of me, so I'm a little rusty. But this is what I got to say about that. First and foremost, your privilege is showing, and it's not a good color on you. That's number one. Number two,
She said it.
I said what I said, and I will not take it back. Number two, your lack of compassion is also showing. Work on that. Number three, you need to spend some you time you in if you're really worried about what alcoholics are going through and you don't claim to be one of them. That's what I have to say about that.
Mic drop.
Yes. Well said, Scotty. I I think that you're absolutely right. I mean, until you can actually put yourself into someone else's shoes, you have no right or room to be able to tell somebody what they are experiencing.
Yeah. Well, and the reason why I say that is because not because people who don't ever go through alcoholism aren't valid in their own struggles. Everyone has demons. Everyone has something that they got to learn to tame at the end of the day, or else it's going to swallow them up. Mine just happens to be alcoholism. And I've been predispositioned by genes and by my own doings, from a young age to get to that point. I just lived through it and I lived to tell the tale. And so I understand that maybe you don't go through it, and again, not saying, I mean, for you guys, like, you guys aren't alcoholics, but you're coming to me and saying, hey, I want to know what it's like because I don't know what that's like, and I want to have respect and compassion for whatever this is. Just like if I had respect and compassion for someone who what would, like, okay, you're an addict. What's your drug of choice? Does it matter? Does it fucking matter? I mean, honestly, if it matters to the addict, the recovering addict, or, whatever, then great. Let them decide that. But an addict is an addict is an addict. And whether or not they're in recovery, they still need your compassion. And that's why I came out the gate like that, because even people who don't experience it should experience compassion and common decency and respect. And again, should educate themselves because it is real and it is a substance chronic substance abuse disorder is extremely real. And there's a lot of different components to it that work concurrently, such as depression, anxiety, ADHD, autism. There are many, many people. Think about it. People who are diagnosed with ADHD, what do you get on? Enhancers, right? Like, or not, I mean, but, but like a legal speed, okay? You see addicts who get addicted to like speed or meth or, shit like that. Are they neurodivergent? Who the fuck failed them? Hey, this person who's medicating with alcohol, are they okay? Oh yeah, no, they say they're fine. No. Are they okay?
Yeah.
And it's the lack of compassion for me.
Yeah. Have there been situations where you wish you could have had, like, I know we've gone to the bar a couple of times and I've been so proud of you because I'll be drinking and you'll be sitting over there watching me drink. But have you been in situations where you're like, damn, I wish I could have a drink right now?
Yeah. Like, at the bar, that's not really anything just because it's like a thing I prove to myself, where I just know I'm not, and like, I don't even go there. But it's more like relaxed settings, where maybe someone like a kickback, and I'm like, I don't need it though. Like, yeah. And that's why I always take like my cannabis. I have a medical card because of, getting sick. Like what I said, I legitimately deal with chronic pain every single day. And if anyone has access to, if you have a qualifying condition and you can get your card, please look into it, and your local legislation, because cannabis has saved me. I would be in the hospital constantly if it wasn't for cannabis. I would not be able to be present with my
Yeah.
children. I wouldn't be able to make them food. I wouldn't be able to get them dressed. I wouldn't be able to switch the laundry over. I told y'all the other day, I'm like, my husband's been taking over the laundry for me because it's just too hard to get up and down the stairs. We have an unfinished basement, so of course I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna break my hip or some shit, like, just something. and I worry about that. And so my husband's been downstairs doing that. Oh, I was so excited. I was like, I went downstairs and I put all my laundry in the washer yesterday. And you want to know what I did, bitch? I went all the way downstairs again. I put in the dryer. And then this morning, I went downstairs and I put all my shit downstairs, bitch. That's what I did by myself.
Hell
I
yeah.
don't need
Hell
nobody.
yeah.
Just kidding. Because then, Jason came home and did the rest of the laundry for the day. But, like, it's fine.
You
I
did your
did
part.
what I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Hey, what you did deserves a gold star.
thank you. And that's all
I
I really
agree.
wanted. So
2
I
gold
appreciate
stars.
that from both of
Ooh.
you.
Ooh.
But yeah, it's cannabis saves fucking lives, dude. I'm sick because of the PTSD and CPTSD, mind, body, soul. Your body does
Yeah.
not forget, and that is why a lot of survivors of different horrible horrific things deal with so much chronic pain when they survive through it. And that's one of the reasons why mental illness is so rampant when it comes to survivors of things, because bro, they're in pain. They're in pain.
Yeah.
And that's probably why I
Yeah.
also drank so much at the end, because I wasn't in my own body. Why was that? Well, I was either hungover, or I was drunk off some poison, or I was, trying to be outside of my body because what? It hurt.
Yep.
Just wild.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really crazy to see what our traumas can actually do to our body. But you know what? They have unlocked the secret to healing your body. It can happen. You can do it, but you have to become so
Yeah.
aligned
Oh yeah.
to be able to reach that point. And we're on the
Yeah.
path.
Yeah.
But it takes time and it takes dedication and effort.
Well, and I have to say
it's not
too,
easy.
no one is destined to be perfect ever, 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 ever. So it's not about being perfect. It's about being mindful, being mindful
Yeah.
and aware of who you are and what you are and where you're at and what your impact is. I mean, no one's gonna, please don't try to be perfect, because it doesn't exist, and that's gonna make you go insane. Trust me. But what you need to do is you need to be authentic. And you can't be
Yeah.
authentic if you are 30 beers deep by the time that you're trying to sleep and everything's still haunting you anyway. You're going to either be drunk and be haunted, or you're going to be sober and be haunted. But being sober, you can stand your ground with that shit and tell it that you're in charge and that you're going to do what the fuck you got to do. And that's just something that, yeah, it's going to be there. But you don't run shit. And like I do, and I forgot that, so now I remember and buy. You know what I mean? It sounds so simple, but it's excruciating. Like I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, it gets easier with time, because I still go to the gas station. I hold my breath by accident when I go too far and I reach the tall boys, because girl, I love me a tall boy during some summertime. Like, I mean, it it's so hard, but it's my hard. It's my demon.
Yeah.
Everyone has a demon, and I'm a good person, and I'm an educated woman, and I'm a knowledgeable person, and I'm an open-minded person. So how can I not be open-minded with myself, that of course you're going to feel this human emotion towards something that you've been drawn to for literally half of your life. So yes, you're going to need to, in order to jump this timeline and go to a place where you don't think about it anymore, it's going to take some time to correct it. And that means that if you have shame around it, you're going to want to do it again. So again, it's just like going deeper, 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 exercising all those muscles that you haven't ever sometimes. But it's possible. Excruciating, yes, but possible. And I would, again, I'd do it a million times over. I don't fucking want to, which is why I stay sober. But I feel I feel that this is where I need to be. And I would be dead. I would be dead right now. I would not be here. I don't know when I died. I don't know like what happened and how I died, but I felt it. I felt myself literally like, if you keep doing this after right now, you will no longer exist. Period. You won't. And these kids are going to have to deal with that trauma because of you when you're the one that's been sent here to break all this shit in the first place. How dare you? And I'm like, holy motherfucking shit, Batman, you're right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Seriously, though. Wow. Okay, so they say that there's 4 types of drinking. You have social drinking, drinking to conform, drinking to enhance, and drinking to cope.
Oh.
I have a feeling you know which one that is.
Oh, well.
Which drinking type do you think you were?
Sure. Let me wait for the question before I jump through the screen and let everyone know.
Yeah, excuse me.
I am a coper. Excuse me. Hi, how are ya? I'm Skadi. I drink to cope or cope to drink. Which one? You decide on me. Like fucking hey, dude. I'm telling you, it's and that's the thing is that my husband told me right before, and this stuck with me like it haunted me, where it said I wouldn't care if you were drinking to celebrate, but you're drinking because you're sad and you're sad because you're drinking.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Yep. I will never forget that. And it changed my life because all of a sudden I was drinking because I was happy and I'm like, oh shit. And then something bad happens and I'm like, oh shit. And then all of a sudden I'm caught up in that. And then now I'm drinking because I'm fucking sad because I can't get out of that. So I'm sad because I'm drinking because I'm sad.
Yeah.
But you're out of it.
I sure am.
Yeah.
I surely am. But don't call me
That's
Shirley.
so
That's
beautiful.
not how it goes, but
That's so funny. Okay, so again, going back, looking at your whole alcoholic career, that's what we're going to call it.
do you want me to build a resume? I'm good at that these days.
I believe you, girl. So looking back, do you feel like you started out as a different type of drinker before you found yourself being the kind of person to drink to cope with something?
You know, to answer that, I'm just going to say I've always been the same type of drinker. My life has been hard. My life has been very hard from day one. It has been fucking hard. And trials and tribulations, everyone has their own. But I was always looking for an escape, always, because I didn't have a place of safety nor security.
Yeah.
So, yeah, same type, always trying to survive.
Yeah. Survive. Wow.
And survive my own head as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you feel like a big part of recovery is like, I don't know, like having like wanting to do it for yourself, having self-love?
That's a beautiful question because I'm going to keep this very short. And I think people will agree with me, but of course not everyone will. But in my perspective, I did not care if I was going to die. I wanted to die. Yeah, I wanted to. I wanted to so fucking hard that, I mean, think about it. Why else would someone want to drink that much? Yeah, addiction for sure, but addiction kills you. So, whether or not you're conscious about it. And I ended up realizing that I could not fathom having peace on the other side if my children and my husband, I knew it. She drank herself to death. I fucking knew it. And so not even just that, but I didn't want to give the people who have said that beyond my tribe the fucking satisfaction. I will decide.
Yeah.
I will fucking decide how I live my life. And you're getting everything you motherfucking want from me being, obese because I'm drinking too much, but also anorexic because I'm not eating because I'm drinking too much, and wanting to keep
Yeah.
my stomach empty so that I can drink some more. And, making myself throw up because I drank too much and I couldn't handle it in my stomach and I just needed to get it out. And like, I mean, it is a dark fucking place, dude. And that's exactly where they wanted me. So I was
Yeah.
done giving them
Mm,
the fucking satisfaction. Now I'm the one who's fucking
Good for
satisfied. You
you.
know what I'm saying? So
hell
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you say that you wanted to die. Do you feel like there was ever a point in time where you actually contemplated committing
Oh dear
suicide?
God. I remember, and I'm like, this is not, I mean, I was a child, so like, forgive me, please, but like being vulnerable and open. I remember the first time that I wished that I would get cancer, I was 8 years old. Um, and
That's
I
young.
prayed for it. Um, I would pray for it.
Wow.
And I did that for years because it was like the only type of relief I had of something. Like that was
Yeah.
how I was going to get away from whatever was going on. Um, and I did that for a couple years and then realized no one was listening and tried to go about it in a different way, tried to make everyone else around me happy. And that didn't work. So I went back to, trying to be authentic and my authentic hysterical self. And that caused so many disruptions that yeah, I was 13 when I took a whole bunch of pills and tried to off myself and had to eat like nasty charcoal. Like my grandparents like had to take me to the hospital because I did it at my house, but then like someone called someone, and then they took me to the hospital and I ate charcoal. That was nasty. The only reason why I never ever tried that way again was because I never wanted to eat charcoal again. And like
Yeah.
it was so gross. But I ended like things just got worse from there. Things got a lot worse from there somehow, and that's when I started leaning more into the substances. I didn't really have an attempt until I was much much older, and then I found myself also using again. Like you don't realize until you understand where you're mentally at. So it's one of those things where alcohol is a depressant, so it may make you like the science behind it is that alcohol specifically, um, the reason why people take shots when they pregame is because it releases more dopamine. The higher the alcohol content, the more dopamine you're going to get, but dopamine only releases like that one time an hour. So, like when you take your first shot, when you get there, it doesn't feel quite the same as like your second or your third. It's because the dopamine's already been released. And so if you're chasing after dopamine, hi, I have, ADHD, or I've been diagnosed with severe ADHD. I am neurodivergent for sure. And that's just who I am authentically, and that's okay. But part of that is also masking a lot and trying to make yourself seem like you're one of them and social. But then when you lack dopamine in your brain, um, and then all of a sudden you drink and you have this dopamine, but then you realize that it only releases once an hour, you're constantly trying to chase it. You're constantly trying to chase it, but it doesn't, it never hits like the first drink, never hits just like it. And so
Yeah.
that's the science behind it, because you truly you truly don't realize what your brain is doing unless you know what your brain is doing. Like having one drink an hour will give me just as much dopamine and I can legally drive home than it would for me to just drink everything in sight. It's
Yeah.
awareness, I guess,
Yeah.
that people maybe don't want to know. And I'm not going to say that for everyone, but yeah, most people don't want to know. I did because I got caught in the middle of it and I needed to get myself out of it. So, I don't really know like if that answers much, but it is kind of just a roundabout way of, you know, it gets you and you don't realize it, and you're also around people who won't realize it either, unless you have, like, those people who really care for you, and they're going to be the annoying ones in your life. If you find yourself
Yeah.
being annoyed by those people, those are the people who are going to be there when you're actually in recovery. And hopefully, it gets to that point. But I mean, yeah, like it's such a long process where, you do feel like dying, dude. You feel like dying every single day, and quite literally you are. A part of you is dying off. And I had to grieve that part of myself where I'm like, well, she ain't gonna outdrink any motherfucker at the bar no more, is she? Damn, that was fun. Like, you know what I mean? And I still grieve that. And that's a hard process, but I have already died. I've already killed myself off. I need to be able to be in charge of my own body about when I die here. I mean, my ego quite literally, like, you know what I mean? Put itself in fucking check when you talk about an ego death. Get sober. Get fucking sober.
Yeah,
Yeah. Do you
definitely.
remember your last drink?
Oh, dude, yeah. It was one of those Bud Light cherry lime seltzers. And I only had like 6 or 7 of them. And I know that's, yeah, only, yeah, I know. I know.
God.
But think about where I was at, right? Think about where I was at. I bought a whole
Yeah.
30 of them bitches, and I only had 6 or 7. And then I started just dry heaving, like to the point where, again, I was like, I will fucking die. Like, you will literally have a stroke, you will hemorrhage in your brain, and you will fucking die. And it wasn't me who was saying that to myself. To this day,
Yeah.
I don't know who it was. Um, it was in
Mm,
my voice, but it wasn't me because I didn't have the wherewithal.
yeah,
Um, and it scared me fucking shitless because all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, like you're doing all this spiritual work, you're trying to do this, that, the other to like set your kids up. And what, you're gonna just fucking die? You're just gonna fucking like drink yourself to death? Wow, great example. And I'm like, shut up. You know what I mean? Like, you don't fucking tell
Yeah.
me.
yeah,
But it was so persistent where it was like, no, you shut the fuck up. But like in the most loving, it was the weirdest thing. It was the weirdest thing.
yeah. Yeah, I've had that happen to me before. It is really a crazy thing to have happen
I
to you.
honestly think,
It's life
yeah,
altering.
yeah. And I
Like an epiphany
well,
almost?
my spiritual belief, I work very closely with my ancestors, and my ancestors work very closely with me, and they always have. Um, my grandma and I are best friends. My grandma raised me, we're in the business of generational knowledge, my grandma and I. And with knowledge comes power. And my grandma's a very powerful woman, and she's also the woman that taught me how to be a woman. So, because of that, I'm very, very close with also the people she was close to, even though I've never met them. I know them. I've learned about them. And I cherish family history very seriously. Like, I was born and raised Mormon, but my grandma who raised me was born and raised Mennonite, and then she converted to Mormonism later. So there's a lot of like family tree beliefs that like I had the privilege of being able to go back and really question. Um, and so because of that, it's like I'm very in tune with my ancestors and my guardian angels. And I think personally, my spiritual experience, it was my angels. I mean, it was absolutely, there are always angels and ancestors around me protecting me because I have not failed yet. And God damn it, like I should have multiple fucking times and not just fail, but not be alive. And here the fuck I am. So that was a moment where it was like breaking news, like, like do, like one of those things where it's like, nope, everything shut the fuck up. This is what's going on. And it quite literally was so clear where it was like, you will die. Do you want to
Yeah.
Yeah.
die? And I'm like, yeah, honestly. I was like, yeah. And they said, okay, look at your husband in there. Think about your kids sleeping in the other room, all 4 of them. Do you want to watch them realize that you're dead? Because my
Yeah.
spiritual beliefs make me believe that I I mean, no matter if it's realms merging or timelines merging, energy never dies. I will be no
Yeah.
matter if I go tomorrow or if I go in 80 years from now. Bitch, take me out at that point, please. I beg of you. But like but I will always
You will be
I will
aware.
always be with my children or their children's children or their children's
Yep.
children's children, because this is sacred. This is sacred work, and it doesn't
Yep.
end when I die. So why why do
Absolutely.
I why do I insist on only starting it after I die? And that's when I'm like, oh great, now I have martyrdom syndrome. Like what? Damn it. So I'm like, fuck, I gotta fix that. So I got sober.
Wow, Scotty, that is so beautiful. Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you
all of that with us
guys.
today. That was incredible. And you know what? You are meant to inspire many people
Thank you.
Yep.
because this kind of insight on life is life changing, and people are waking up to it and they are
I
realizing
hope
it.
so.
And the more that we fix ourselves, the more of us who bring our vibrations up high, the more people who will follow
Yeah.
suit, and the world will change. And you know what? Maybe we aren't going to be here to physically experience it, but we will experience it.
Yes, we will. And we will see the
Exactly.
fruits of our labors, and our children and our children's children and our children's children's children will know what we teach them, and not just what we teach them, but what we show them. And we
Yeah.
don't just show our kid. I mean, goddamn, how many times a day are you like, oh, look at this thing? Do you know what this thing is? This thing does this. Wow, congratulations, you now know what this is. No, bitch. It's like right then and there. And it is an example. Like whatever you fucking do is
Yeah.
exactly what the fuck they're going to think is normal.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, one final question. In one word, how would you describe alcohol?
Oh, Jesus. That's two words. Oh God. In one word, deceiving. Deceiving.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yep.
Well, thank you again so much for your story. And I just want to thank all of our listeners.
Thank you.
Please like, follow, share, comment, send us anonymous stories if you would like to have a part of your story shared, either known or anonymously. We would love to be able to share that with our listeners.
Yes.
Please, please, please. And thank you guys so
Till
much.
next time.
Thank you. I really appreciate you guys like being willing to do this. I mean, I've never spoke about it publicly, any of it, any of it. I've really never done that. And this, none of it. And I may not ever do it again. So I don't know. It's just, I mean, I don't think I won't ever do it again, but it's one of those things where we need people to be vulnerable. The reason I'm doing this is because I
Yep.
want to inspire others um, to also share their story, because I would like, I need to hear it. I need to hear it. And that may be selfish, but I need to hear your stories as well, because we are not alone and you are not alone. And as a collective, we can feel this. Not just because like I'm in it too, but there's change, and we feel the change, and with change is transformation, and with transformation comes pain, dude. You're quite literally shifting, and it will be painful, but it's also painful to be a victim to something out of your control. So again, like we'll have resources. And thank you guys for even wanting to do this, and hearing me out. I love you, and I love our listeners, and just I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
Thank you
And
so much.
please know if you or someone you know is going through addiction,
Yes.
like there is help.
Mm-hmm.
Number
Mm-hmm.
one. Number two,
Absolutely.
they need their tribe.
Yes, they need their tribes from experience. If you have someone that you believe is addicted to anything, and it really doesn't matter. I mean, again, like I said, unless they want you to know, it doesn't matter, because everyone deserves love and compassion anyway. And I understand everyone has their boundaries, and people will remain active in addiction because they quite literally, for whatever reason, can't not,
Yeah.
But I I am living proof that if people love you enough and show you enough love, it will quite literally give you a rebirth, a whole new transformation of finding yourself, and seeing what other people see in you. Um, and I guess I kind of didn't answer one of the other questions before, but to wrap it up into like really give, someone a message out there that might need to hear it. I did not get sober for myself. I did not get sober for myself. I got sober for the people who were pleading with me to get sober because I loved them and I couldn't watch them suffer anymore. Um, One day I woke up and lived my day, and then my head hit the pillow and I said, holy fuck, I just did that whole day for me. Like, it happens, and I can't tell you when, and I can't tell you how, because only you are going to know that. People who are addicted more than likely don't want to get sober because they don't want to. um,
Yeah.
Get sober for the person who's annoying you. Get sober for your cat. Get sober for your fucking bird. Get sober for your niece or your nephew or your second cousin 3 times removed, whoever it is in your life that loves you and that you don't want to see on the other side have to process what you're putting yourself and them through. That's what's going to get you sober. But you're going to stay sober
Yep.
for you one day. I promise. Um, and with that being said, I mean, 10 times out of 10, substance abuse will always be linked to unprocessed trauma. Please, I know that mental health resources are not as available as we need them to be. And trust me, we know. And we are trying our hardest to figure out how to do that too. Just give us time. Like, we're figuring, we want to give resources as much as possible. But um, please, any resources out there that you need, and if you even need them from anyone else or whatever, like we said, resources. But your trauma is valid. You need to process it so that you can process your addiction, because you can't do one without the other. But that's my closing thoughts.
Well,
Thank you
till
for
next time.
listening.
Till next time.
Thank you so
Love
much.
you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.